I don't know why I'm writing this down. Maybe because the TV's out and the radio's gone quiet, and it turns out silence is its own kind of torture. Maybe because if I say it out loud, I'll have to hear my own voice, and I'm too scared to make a sound. Maybe I just need somewhere to get it out so that it stops bouncing around inside my skull at 2 a.m. Maybe I just need to pretend that someday someone will find out what happened. It started like any other Tuesday. I was making my normal gas station run before work. That's it. That was the whole plan. Coffee, maybe a breakfast sandwich before my commute. Normal, stupid, ordinary. Sam was at the window banging on the glass when I got there. I remember thinking, that was a little odd. Sam's not really a banging on the windows kind of guy. I hadn't seen him in a few days, so I waved and kept walking toward the door like a complete idiot. Kim was coming across the parking lot in her work uniform, stumbling. At first I thought, God, I thought she'd been drinking. 6 years sober, and my first thought was that she'd fallen off the wagon. There was blood all over her, and my first instinct was embarrassment on her behalf. I want to be very clear about how stupid I feel about that now. She was reaching for me, making sounds I can't describe the sounds. Jim came next. Same state, same reaching. That's when it hit me. The thing on the news. The thing everyone had been calling a virus. The thing Mary warned me about. The thing I'd been filing under not my problem. It was real. It was right there, in the parking lot. It was Kim and Sam and Jim.
The screams started late at night. I stayed upstairs with the lights off and convinced myself I'd be more help in the morning. I can be honest with myself now. I was too scared to move, and I needed an excuse. I'm not sure how, but I finally managed to fall asleep. I woke up to silence. No cars, no dogs barking, nothing. I turned the TV on to check the news, but a house alarm went off down the street. They'd mentioned the infected were attracted to sound. That was enough for me. I left out the back door and ran into 2 of them heading for the alarm. Slow, unfocused, but moving with purpose. That's when I decided the fire department made the most sense. Medical supplies, space, structure. If anyone was going to look for help, they'd look there, and with my background, I could be useful.
I don't remember making the decision to run. I just ran. The police station seemed like the obvious answer. That's where you go when you're in danger, right? I went around the back to draw the ones following me away from the front entrance, but then Kathy came at me from the side door. Kathy, who has worked the front desk of that station for 15 years. Kathy, who keeps a jar of hard candies on her desk and always offered me one even though I'm 34 years old, and it's a little patronizing. And I always took one anyway because I didn't want to hurt her feelings. I kicked her head in. I need to just leave that sentence there for a minute because I don't know what else to do with it. Shane was in the front of the station, then Officers Corey and Larry. Officer Barkley was banging on the window the whole time, and I kept thinking he was trying to help, trying to signal me. And by the time Shane stopped moving, I realized Barkley had turned too. He never came outside. He was just doing what they all do now, trying to get to me. I took Corey's vest, holster, and gun. I don't plan on using it. In every movie I've ever seen, sound draws more of them, so I've decided it's only for last resorts. But holding it makes my hands stop shaking, which is something. The rest of the city's police were inside the gas station. Every single one of them.
No one was there when I arrived. It makes sense that the police and fire department would have been called out to try to control the situation, but showing up to no one being there, or almost no one. There was one infected in the building. I took care of it before I started organizing. Found a helmet, an axe, pants, and boots that fit well enough. They're heavier than scrubs, but protection is protection, and I'm not helping anyone if I get infected. A firefighter showed up later, and now I'm wondering if maybe there's some memory left in them, some pull toward familiar places. If that's true, then maybe they aren't completely gone. Jake went on NNR and said there's no reason to believe people can't recover, which complicates things. I assumed it was fatal. I've killed a few already. If it isn't fatal, that changes everything. I've known Jake since college, and I don't think he'd lie about something like that, especially not on the news. The hope that statement gives people, it would be devastating to put down someone you love only to find out they could have been saved. Since then, I've been watching the infected when I can. They're not very reactive. They follow for a bit if they see me, but if I break line of sight, they just keep going. Slow, predictable. That makes things manageable.
Sam finally made it through the window and came after me. He had a bat with nails pounded through it strapped to his back. He didn't need it anymore, so I took that too. I'm pretty sure I stopped thinking around the time I cleared the gas station's inventory into a car and drove home. I know there were others between the police station, the park, and the gas station parking lot. I know I dealt with them. I don't have a lot of details beyond that. My brain seems to have decided I don't need them. I got home. I unloaded the trunk. I organized the fridge. I don't know what that says about me. The days after that were quieter, lonelier. I raided Nancy and Cal's place. They weren't home. The window in Christy's room was broken outward, not in. I'm choosing to believe that means they made it out. I'm aware that might be a choice I'm making on purpose. I went to Carl's, Kristen's, a few others. Picked up produce, maps, a how-to book I found on Carl's shelf that turned out to be genuinely useful. The TV's mostly dead, but a couple of the educational channels still come in sporadically, and I've been taking notes. I burned my breakfast twice. I miss delivery food more than I miss almost anything else, which probably says something about me that I'd rather not examine right now. It rained hard one of the days, and I used the cover of the storm to find a better car. The engine on the one I took from the park was loud enough to rattle windows, and I can't afford that kind of noise. I don't entirely know what I'm doing, but I know that much.
The houses around Cartwheel are mostly broken into, but there's hardly ever any blood. It's made it hard to know if the broken window is recent or from a while ago. I had to put a few down around the outside of the fire department. They kept spotting me through the windows and banging on them. One eventually broke through, so I spent a night at the lumber yard. Sleeping under the stars was surprisingly relaxing. Being fully exposed somehow felt less dangerous than sleeping in a building with a single broken window. The station is coming together. I've barricaded the downstairs windows, and I'm working on the rest. It's more work than I expected doing it all alone, but it keeps my mind busy. I've started keeping a running list of supplies and locations so I don't forget anything important. Generators, tools, nails, things we'll need long term. I've found a few vehicles with keys, one in great condition with a full tank. I've been using it to gather supplies for the Haven. Spare cars will be important for anyone who wants to go looking for family or help with runs, so I'm going to try to get to each of them with a can of gas and bring them over eventually.
I checked on Steve and Holly's house. Their grandkids must have been visiting recently. The toys were still out in the yard. Their car was on the side of the road, missing a tire. I'm not gonna write what I think that means. Some thoughts I'm keeping out of this journal on purpose. Sarah had said she wasn't doing anything for her birthday. Just a quiet day at home. Honestly, I was relieved. I love her, but I'd been struggling to show up for things lately. And the thought of a whole party when my social battery was already tapped felt like too much. I told myself I'd call her instead. Make it up to her. I went to check on her anyway. I don't know why. Something in me just needed to see that someone was okay. Everyone was there. Robin, Tam, John, Zach, Carl. All of our friends crowded into her living room, wandering in the front yard, all of them with paper hats on, streamers, the whole thing. She'd thrown the party after all. And she hadn't invited me. In fact, she'd purposely left me out, and that keeps catching in my chest. I know what they were by the time I got there. I know none of them chose it. I know it wasn't a decision anyone made with their right mind. But there's something about standing in the doorway of your friend's living room holding a nail bat and looking at everyone you know wearing birthday hats and reaching for you, groaning, and knowing you weren't even supposed to be there. I dealt with it. All of it. One after another. Tom bit me. Thankfully, my jacket took the entire brunt and he didn't actually get me. I was almost home when I saw them. Stephen and Holly. Moving the same way all the others move now. I told myself, looking at their empty house, at the toys in the yard, at the car on the road, I told myself they must have gotten out. That wherever their grandkids were, they were together. That some families made it. I couldn't even check on them on day 3 without breaking down a little. I made myself walk away from the thought of little Tommy and whatever that car meant. And here they were. I hope the kids got away. I'm gonna keep hoping that. I'm gonna keep hoping that until something makes me stop. I burned breakfast again this morning. Ate it anyway. I don't know what I'll do tomorrow. Survive, I guess. That seems to be the plan for now. It still doesn't feel real. None of it does. Maybe it won't for a while. Maybe that's the only reason I'm still standing.
I stacked the garage shelves with maintenance and cleaning supplies, filled the medical room as best I could, grabbed books from the bookstore and tools from the school utility shed. It's not perfect, but it's functional. As was expected, there have been a few setbacks. Joseph boarded up his place, but he must have been bitten before he finished. He broke out, and I had to take him down. It was him or me, and I need to be available when people start arriving. I pulled a muscle hauling supplies back, which was a good reminder that I can't afford to injure myself. So I've started stretching in the mornings and evenings. If I find workout guides, I'll bring them back for others. We'll need to stay healthy until they figure out a cure. The car locked itself while I was closing the garage door, and I didn't want to smash a perfectly good window. Thankfully, I found Spiffo's van with the key in the glove compartment. Plenty of room for supplies, maybe even for transporting injured people if we find a hospital or safe house with the doctor still operating. There have to be other medical professionals out there. We just need a way to reach each other. I had to clear the infected out by the gas station to be able to fill all the gas canisters. Some of them were too far gone. Rotting faces, missing eyes, tissue breaking down. If that's recoverable, I don't understand how. I did what I had to do. I brought back gas, some books and magazines and junk food. People will want something familiar before they're ready for rationed vegetables and TV dinners. The infected seem slower now. I've been trying to make sense of what type this is. If it kills you and reanimates you, recovery doesn't make any sense. If it doesn't kill you, they'd be stronger and faster. If it's parasitic, I'm not seeing mutation. But Jake said recovery is possible, and you can't recover from being dead. So I don't know what to think yet. I still haven't seen Ellie, but she should be here soon. Maybe in another day or two? It'll be easier with 2 people. Hopefully more than 2. But for now, the haven is secure enough to sleep in. Supplies are organized, vehicles will be ready soon. If someone comes looking for help, I'll be here.